Do you need a DBA or an LLC? So the whole thing with these are business licenses. And basically a business license is actually just a permit that lets the government know who is running the business. The business is a fictitious entity. It's not a real entity. So they have to tie that to somebody who is real. So you are a real person, I hope. But they have to know who owns this business. Otherwise, people would just be running businesses, committing fraud all over the place, which they already do. So since the business name is fictional, it's the government's way of associating it to a taxpayer. So DBA versus LLC. DBA means doing business as. LLC means limited liability company. Now, just as a caveat to this is not legal advice. I am simply explaining to you what they are from a small business perspective and from my experience. If you need more guidance, contact the county, the state, whatever state that you're in, or contact like a small business attorney if you want to put that money out there. But this is just information to help you out. It's not legal advice, so remember that. So DBA or LLC. So I'm only going to explain those two, even though there are others. There are corporations, I think it's like an S Corp, a C Corp, something like that. But those I'm not going to talk about because we're dealing with small business, not big business, not someone who's trying to necessarily open up a big chain restaurant. Just these two will do for now. So a DBA, or sole proprietorship, doing business as. All that does is reserve your business name within your industry in your county. Basically what that means is, let's say that you are in business and you've been operating in business and you don't file a DBA, you're just winging it. Let's say somebody else across the city just so happens to start the same business with the same business name. Let's say you're a photographer and it's ABC Photography, but you haven't registered it with anybody. You ain't doing nothing right? Like you're just doing something, but somebody else does. Well, once they get their DBA, if they find out like, hey, this other person is operating under the same business name, but I'm the one with the DBA in this city, they can ask you to stop doing business because you're operating under their business name. Mind you, a DBA does not protect you at all. All it does is tell the county who is doing business under this fictitious name. It's good if you're just starting out and you don't know where the business is going to go. Like if your goal isn't necessarily to make it a big business, it's not necessarily your goal to do this full time. You're just kind of doing it because you like to bake. And you just want to bake. It's something to do. You can make some money on the side, but you don't want to necessarily do it full time at this point. Then you could do a DBA. If you are more serious, then at that point you would probably want to look at an LLC. Now, I would recommend an LLC across the board, and this is just me, because if you recall, I just said that a DBA does not protect you. If somebody, you bake some cookies for someone and they get sick and they turn around, they pass everything and just go straight to suing you, that's going to affect your, they're going to go after your personal assets. Versus if your business was under an LLC makes your business its own separate entity. It's a complete thing in and of itself. So it's separate from you. So that, say that same person comes after you, but your business is an LLC. Well, they're going to sue your business. They're not going to sue you personally. They're going to sue your business. And if your business isn't worth anything, they're not going to get anything. And so your business would basically close down. It would become insolvent or something. So that's the difference between an LLC and a DBA. A DBA is more so like maybe for a kid or somebody who's not doing anything that's gonna get serious. LLC, I always recommend it because it protects you financially. If you don't have an LLC, you have that DBA and you are cooking some food and some kind of way, some poison gets into it and somebody dies, they're going to sue you personally. And they're going to take, you know, you're going to lose a lot of stuff trying to defend yourself. And you could lose your house, you can lose your car, you can lose anything that you own personally. Versus with an LLC, and there's of course a caveat to it. With an LLC, they're going after your business and everything that your business owns. So with an LLC, there are two types. There's a single member and there is a multi-member. My LLC is a single member simply because I don't want to go into business with anybody. But you can do it however you want to. If you have a business partner, then obviously it would be a multi-member LLC. In Texas, that LLC cost, so you have to pay the state costs, and then if you choose to have someone else prepare your state documents, then you have to pay their costs. Now, I went through Zen Business, and I'll drop it in the link down below. It's not like they're not paying me to say their name or anything like that. It's not sponsored. It's just who I used. And I'm sure there are other great ones. There's probably some that are better than them, but that's just who I use and I have experience with them. So there's a state filing fees that you cannot get around no matter who prepares it. And then it's their fees. So I paid like $49 for their, so I paid $49 for them to prepare my documents, and then the state filing fees were like $280 or something, I don't know, but the total cost was like $360 for them to prepare my LLC documents. Again, it protects your personal assets by making your business its own entity. So you see the benefit right off the bat that a DBA is just saying, hey, this is a fictitious name. I own this business under this fictitious name, ABC Photography. I own it. That's all a DBA does. An LLC says that, but this is across the state, across the entire state, not just the county. So it reserves your name, and then if anybody else decides that they want to come up with a business of the same name in the same industry, at that point you can say, hey, I have this LLC in the state of Texas. It was filed blah, blah, blah date, which is before you went into business, and I need you to cease and desist business. It would be up to you to do that. It doesn't do that automatically. If somebody copycats off of you, whether on purpose or on accident. So with an LLC, gotta explain the details of this. So with an LLC, you do have to pay a franchise tax, which is once a year if your sales reach a certain dollar amount. So in Texas, I want to say it's like if your sales are like 1.1 something million dollars, then you have to pay like it's like 2%, 5%. It's a really, really small percentage of sales as this franchise tax every May. But if you don't make $1 million something, then you don't have to pay the tax. Now you still have to file to say, hey, I didn't make enough money or whatever, so I don't owe anything. So you still have to file, but the difference is you don't have to pay anything unless your sales reach basically over that $1 million threshold. You'll of course have to check with your own state as far as the LLC franchise tax and everything. So with an LLC, and this is what I actually learned from an attorney. So if you recall, I said that, and I just want to drill this into your head, a DBA does not protect you at all. It does not do anything for you except reserve your business name within that industry in your county, not across the state, within your county. An LLC does protect you because your business is created as a separate entity aside from you. However, if you are mingling business and personal, then you are not going to be protected by that. For example, this is why you need a business bank account that is separate from your account, because all of your business needs to go through your business bank account. So let's say if something happens and you end up in court, somebody sues you or whatever, and they try to take your personal assets, and you're like, oh, no. This is an LLC, you go through that business, but then there's a discovery that goes on where the attorneys, they go through and they see, well, it looks like you've been handling business through your personal bank account. So you've been mingling business and personal. So that will actually waive that protection that you had under that LLC, because you didn't even separate business and personal. So why should they when it's time to sue you? So that's something that you need to understand. Keep business and personal separate so that you can keep that protection. Of course, there is more to it. There's more details, which you will need to go to like an attorney or something to get, but this is just the gist of it from my experience. Again, I use Zen Business. I'll drop that in that link below. So with that, just going back to Zen Business. So when you file an LLC, you have to designate somebody as a registered agent. It can be you, but I chose to pay a small fee every month, like super small. I'm not going to say what it was because it could have changed from when I started to now, and it's been 3 years. I have Zen Business as my registered agent. And basically what that means, a registered agent is someone who is designated to receive official mail and notices on your behalf. For example, if somebody sues you and they send those litigation documents, well, if the reason why I had Zen Business be my registered agent is because what if I get it in the mail and I just overlook it and the attorney letter in there says I have 10 days to respond and it's been 30 days and I haven't seen it because I thought it was junk mail. So that's why I chose to have someone else as my registered agent, so that should I ever get litigation documents for whatever reason, I will be notified about it on time and I won't be like, oh crap, I overlooked it. It was an accident, but I overlooked it and now I'm in even hotter water than I was before those litigation documents came. So I would recommend whomever you choose to do your LLC documents for you to see if they can be your registered agent. And then if it is for a reasonable price, go ahead and do it. You may never need it, but it's that just in case factor. So if you have a business that you foresee growing into something serious, I would probably go ahead and just file the LLC and be done with it, because the last thing you want to do is have this mind like, hey, I have this business idea. I do want it to grow into a big business where I'm doing it full time, but I'm just going to do a DBA right now. And then as your business grows and now it's like booming, and you decide to go and get an LLC, and that business name is taken in the state, and now you have to change your business name to something else. It can't be something similar because you can still get a cease and desist for that. If it's like ABC photography and you're like, dang, that's taken, and then you're like, you know what, I'll just do ADC photography, that's not going to fly. If that person who owns that company discovers you have come up with a business that's similar to mine in the same industry, meaning we're both photographers. It's different if mine is a photography company and you start ADC furniture, but that's not the same industry. People are not going to get confused by that. Then they don't really have an argument. But if they find out that you've started a business similar in the same state, then they can send you a cease and desist. And at that point, you have to change your name, or you can be stubborn and then, possibly face litigation, but that's up to you. So I would recommend go ahead and get your LLC as soon as you can, if possible, because it just protects you. It protects, somebody else from taking your business name, and then you have done all of this hard work and you can't file an LLC under that name. Another thing that I almost forgot is that with an LLC, you legally have to include that name, that LLC, in your business name. So for me, for example, when I filed for my business credit card, I couldn't just put NHCO Botanical Body Care, because that's not my legal business name anymore. Now my legal business name is NHCO Botanical Body Care LLC. So you have to include that on like legal documents, because that is the legal name, and you basically have to make it known. You have to let people know that I am a limited liability company. So that is one of the things that I do remember. When you file an LLC, that's one of the caveats. You have to let people know up front, this is a limited liability company. It's not an S Corp, it's not a trust, it's not a DBA, it's an LLC. So that's something to think about when you decide to do your business filing. So DBA, it's good, it's fine, but for the long term, a DBA will not do. It doesn't protect you. You may not need protecting. Nothing may ever happen, but why run the risk? So I recommend an LLC. Again, it does cost roughly $350 or so, and that includes the state filing fees that you cannot get around. And there's the fee for someone to prepare the documents. And actually, let me talk about that. So to prepare the documents, it could be simple. Like, I remember I looked it up, but I'm not legal savvy like that. And so I just felt $49, I'm just going to pay somebody else to do it. I don't have time to look through this and send this and do all of this stuff for somebody like to do my LLC. So I just let them do it. Now with your LLC, we actually moved. And so I just went to the IRS website or the state website, and I found a form to change my address, because when I went back to Zen Business and to see if they could do that for me, they charged $100, and I was like, I don't think so. So I just found the form myself, just took a little time to do a little research, found the form myself, and I sent it in. So those are the differences with an LLC and a DBA. Going back, I hope I have drilled it into your head that a DBA does not protect you. If anything should pop off, that DBA means nothing. It just simply tells the government who is operating this business. An LLC does protect you, but you have to make sure that you have a separation of business and personal. Don't commingle accounts. Set up a separate business account. And I can actually recommend a business account. It's called ASLO, and it's by BBVA. ASLO Bank, and it's an online bank. They do not have any physical locations, and it is a free account. I've been with them for like almost 3 years now, and it's great. I haven't had any issues. You can do the check deposit on your phone. You cannot deposit cash because they don't have a physical bank, and that's, I think, what helps their costs stay low. But ASLO Bank, it's under BBVA. I also dropped that link below so that you can set up a separate business account. Now, when you set up that business account, they do require that you send in your official business filing. So I did have to send in my LLC documents showing that I was a legitimate business, because they're not going to just open an account because you said it's a business. So in order to do that, so which comes first, the chicken or the egg? So file for your business, and then as soon as you get those documents, I think it took just like a couple weeks or so for me to get my LLC documents back. And then go ahead and set up your business bank account right away. With ASLO Bank, again, this is not sponsored. They're not asking me to do any of this. It's just who I bank with, and I haven't had any issues. go ahead and set at that bank. They don't charge you anything. There's no monthly fee. So if you're sitting with like $0 because you hadn't made any money yet, that's okay. You're not gonna, have to incur a fee for not having money. So those are the tips that I have as far as a DBA or an LLC. You decide what you need. If you have any questions, if you have anything to add, feel free to drop a comment below. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe and hit the bell so that you know that when another video is uploaded. I'll see you next video.